Hey everyone, this is MareBear62990, and this is my rant on the Fairly OddParents, a well-known Nicktoon that just recently ended, or at least I think it ended. Now, what I'm about to say is probably going to surprise a lot of you since I'm calling this a rant. I didn't hate this show. In fact, when it first aired in 2001, note that I don't count the Oh Yeah shorts from the late 90s, I loved it, and for the most part, I still think it was an alright show. I just really disliked a lot of the episodes that aired past, say, seasons 3 or 4. To me, when the show first started, the storylines were well executed, the humor was fresh, with hardly any repeated gags, and the characters were all pretty likable for the most part. Plus, being 10 years old at the time it first aired, I could really relate to Timmy Turner, the main character. Although, once season 5 or so rolled around, the show notably dipped in quality. For one thing, I noticed the plot formula was basically the same thing in 90% of the episodes. Timmy makes a wish, it goes well for a while, and then it goes wrong. He tries to wish it fixed, but for some reason he can't. So he has to fix the problem himself, and then everything goes back to normal in the end. Wash, rinse, repeat. So basically, if you've seen one episode, you've seen them all. Now, I know what you're all probably thinking. Mary, weren't the older episodes like this too? Okay, yeah, you do have a point. You do have episodes like Betty Bye, The Same Game, Ruled Out, Dog's Day Afternoon, and Superbike that all have the same basic plot formula. However, those episodes actually had some decent gags. The storylines held my attention, plus none of the characters were really jerks in any of those episodes. Which brings me to another thing I dislike about a lot of the newer episodes. In my opinion, most of the main characters notably changed. Timmy went from a normal, miserable 10-year-old boy who had to deal with typical problems like his evil babysitter Vicky, and the bully at his school, Francis, who, by the way, was barely in any of the episodes past season 5, to a girl-crazy teenager in a 10-year-old's body. And he became kind of a jerk. Don't know what I mean? I'll give you an example. In the episode Temporary Fairy, Jorgen von Strangle poses as Timmy's fairy godparent when Cosmo and Wanda become so protective of their baby, Poof, that they can't grant him any remotely dangerous wishes. Jorgen is the exact opposite, and Timmy is so pleased by this that at one point in the episode, Timmy tells Jorgen he loves him, and Cosmo and Wanda respond, thinking he was talking to them. So, what does Timmy say? I wasn't talking to you guys, I was talking to my cool new temporary fairy. Okay guys, I don't know about the rest of you, but this kinda made me mad. Especially considering the number of times he showed he cared about his fairies in the original seasons. Like in The Big Problem when he did everything he could to make himself younger so he'd get to keep them. And in Action Pack when he saved them from turning into dust and losing their powers when they were in Jorgen's machine. Timmy's not the only character who became a jerk though. There were also some really mean-spirited episodes like Odd Couple, Class Clown, It's a Wishful Life, oh gosh, Cynthia True, what were you thinking? And, last but not least, The Boss of Me, where I had sympathy for Timmy because the characters were jerks to him. The babysitters in The Odd Couple, Trixie and the Rich Kids and Class Clown, and Mr. Turner in The Boss of Me. In fact, Mr. and Mrs. Turner seemed to become twice as jerky to Timmy in the newer seasons than in the older ones. Examples include Mr. Turner replacing Timmy with a rental kid for Take Your Son to Work Day, Mr. and Mrs. Turner being all excited at the possibility of their son going to military school, and even the implication that they don't feed him. They may not have always acted like they cared about their son in the older seasons, but at least every now and then they told him they loved him and showed they did care about him. Remember the season 3 episode The Grass is Greener when he runs away from home and they cry after he's gone a while and tell him they love him when he comes back? More than likely, you won't see that version of his parents in the newer seasons. Now, to be fair, I can think of one exception. In Beach Blanket Bozos, near the end, there is a scene that shows Timmy's parents do care about him. You know, when they actually save him from being attacked by the Kraken? But that's just one example I can think of. Anyway, the next character I want to talk about is Cosmo. Oh my gosh, I got so fed up with this character in a bunch of the new episodes. He went from a loving husband who cried when he had to leave his wife to a not-so-loving husband who wanted her murdered. Yep, that's right. Remember the episode Big Wanda when he and Timmy think Wanda is going to be murdered? Remember how Cosmo responds when Wanda tells him she's alive? Well, there go my dating plans. Okay, you get my drift. Try comparing this to Dog's Day Afternoon when Cosmo cries, figuring out he'll have to be away from his wife for the first time since they got married. There is no comparison. Another example of new school Cosmo I can think of is in Big Bash, when he bets Wanda for a nickel, says, "Please be a Wanda eater" when they encounter the dinosaur, and finally when he says he was forced into his marriage. Not to mention, he was unfaithful to his wife. He looked at all kinds of women he thought were pretty, like the Tooth Fairy. Cosmo, I don't know what happened to you. Now, as for Wanda, she was actually still a decent character in the newer episodes, minus being a little annoying sometimes with her nagging. Now, the last character I want to address is Poof, Cosmo and Wanda's baby. A lot of fans say the show really went downhill with his addition, but I don't agree with that necessarily. To me, the show actually started declining in quality a little before that. I actually have nothing against Poof. In fact, I always thought he was really cute. It's just that I don't think he really did anything for the show. He didn't add to the humor or anything like that, so there was really no point in adding him unless the producers thought it would help the ratings. I really don't have anything to say about the rest of the characters like Crocker and Vicky, so I'll just move on to the last thing I want to address about the new episodes. The poor quality of the humor. Now, as I said before, in the older seasons the humor didn't feel too forced, as in it didn't feel like the writers were trying too hard to make the viewer laugh. However, as time went on, the writers got so lazy that they decided the best route to take was to come up with a joke, usually a visual gag like Cosmo throwing up on Timmy and Fairly Odd Baby and the water squirting thing and Invasion of the Dads. That wasn't funny to begin with, and use it again and again and again and again and again. It's beyond me why these writers never learned that using the same joke over and over isn't funny. But enough about that. I think I've said everything I wanted to about why I started disliking the show. But, like I said, I never actually hated the show. Even in the new seasons, there were some episodes I thought were really good, like Bad Air Day, and that was mainly because it didn't have the same cliched plot formula like most of the other episodes. It was original, had some pretty good concept, the Crocker-Poof interaction, plus it had some decent gags, like the Peanuts reference, and there was only one running gag, but this time it didn't bother me too much, at least not like the other running gags. So overall, I have to give credit to the writers, specifically Kevin Sullivan, for at least trying and coming up with an episode like this. So thank you all for taking the time to listen to my rant on the Fairly OddParents, and I hope you all enjoyed this video. This is MareBear62990, signing out.